Rimuru and Ultima goes to One Piece, Rimuru and Ultima x One Piece, by Veldanava-God. Chapter 14. A clash in Fishman Island. The tension in the air was palpable as Hammerhead faced off against Ultima, his massive form towering over her. The Fishman pirate, famous for his brute strength and intimidating presence, sneezed at the young demon who stood calmly before him. "You think you're hot stuff, don't you?" Hammerhead growled, clenching his fists. "I've crushed bigger and stronger enemies than you. You're nothing." Ultima raised an eyebrow, her lips curling into a smirk. "Bigger and stronger, huh? That's cute." Rimuru, standing a few paces behind her, crossed his arms and watched with amusement. He could feel that Ultima wasn't taking this fight seriously, not yet, at least. Hammerhead was formidable, but to someone like Ultima, who had mastered advanced hockey, he was less than a nuisance. "You talk a lot," Ultima said, her eyes sparkling with excitement, "but can you back it up?" Hammerhead's expression darkened, and with a roar of fury, he charged forward, his massive fists raised high to deliver a crushing blow. He moved with surprising speed for someone his size, closing the distance between them in an instant. But Ultima didn't flinch. Her observation hockey was already activated, allowing her to sense every move Hammerhead made before he even began his attack. She casually sidestepped his punch, leaving his fist to smash into the ground with a deafening crash. "Missed me?" Ultima taunted, laughing as Hammerhead's eyes broadened in surprise. Hammerhead snarled and swung his other fist at her, but once again, Ultima easily dodged, moving with a grace that made her look like she was dancing around him. "Come on, is that all you've got?" Ultima teased, her voice dripping with mockery. "I thought you were supposed to be some big shot on Fishman Island." Rimuru gasped from the sidelines. "She's having way too much fun with this." Hammerhead, growing more and more frustrated, continued to launch wild attacks at Ultima, but none of them came close to hitting her. She dodged and weaved around him. Her movements were so fluid that it seemed as if she wasn't even trying. "You're too slow," Ultima said, grinning as she ducked under another swing. "You really should have trained your hockey more. Maybe then you'd stand a chance." Hammerhead roared in fury, his pride wounded by her taunts. "I'll crush you, you little." But before he could finish his sentence, Ultima decided she had had enough. The playful expression on her face faded, replaced by a cold, serious look. "Okay, enough games," she said, her voice dropping to a low growl. "Let's see how you handle this." In an instant, Ultima's armament hockey flared to life, coating her fists in a shimmering black aura. But this wasn't just any armament hockey. It was advanced armament hockey, the kind that could bypass defenses and directly damage a person's internal organs. Hammerhead's eyes widened as he felt the sudden surge of power coming from Ultima. He instinctively stepped back, but it was too late. Ultima moved with lightning speed, closing the distance between them in a blink. Her fist shot forward, aimed directly at his midsection. Hammerhead barely had time to react before the blow connected, and when it did, the force of it was overwhelming. A sickening crack echoed through the air as Ultima's punch landed squarely in Hammerhead's gut. The impact was so powerful that it shattered several of his ribs, and a wave of agony shot through his entire body. Hammerhead's eyes bulged, and a guttural scream tore from his throat. His legs buckled beneath him as he clutched his stomach in pain, gasping for breath. Blood spilled from his mouth, and his once mighty form crumpled to the ground. Ultima stood over him, her expression cold and unbothered. "Pathetic," she muttered, shaking her head. "You're not even worth the effort." With that, she turned and walked back to Rimuru, who had been watching the whole exchange with a bemused smile. "That was fast," Rimuru commented, raising an eyebrow. "I thought you'd play with him a little longer." Ultima shrugged, the playful smirk returning to her face. "I got bored. He wasn't much of a challenge anyway." Rimuru chuckled. "Well, at least we can move on now. I think we've made our point." As the two of them walked away, the remaining onlookers who had witnessed the fight began to murmur in fear and awe. Ultima had easily defeated one of the most feared pirates on Fishman Island without breaking a sweat, and it was clear to everyone that she and Rimuru were not to be trifled with. The news of Hammerhead's defeat spread quickly throughout Fishman Island, and from that moment on, no one dared to challenge Rimuru and Ultima. The pirates and citizens alike kept their distance, knowing full well that they stood no chance against such powerful foes. Over the next week, Rimuru and Ultima spent their time leisurely exploring Fishman Island. The bustling marketplace offered a variety of exotic goods, and they took full advantage of the opportunity to stock up on supplies for their journey into the new world. "Look at this," Ultima said, holding up a strange fruit from one of the market stalls. "Do you think this is one of those devil fruits?" Rimuru inspected the fruit with mild curiosity. "It could be. But I don't think it's one of the stronger ones. Still, it might come in handy." They continued their shopping, gathering everything from fresh seafood to rare herbs and spices. The people of Fishman Island were still wary of them, but they were respectful, offering their finest goods to the new Shichibukai. As they made their way through the market, Rimuru couldn't help but notice the tension that lingered in the air. Even though they had been welcomed to the island, there was an underlying sense of unease among the inhabitants. The shadow of Hammerhead's defeat loomed large, and it was clear that the islanders didn't want any more trouble. "It's strange," Rimuru said quietly as they passed a group of fishmen who quickly averted their gazes. "Even though we're not causing any problems, they're still scared of us." Ultima snorted. "Of course they are. We're Shichibukai now. That means we've got a target on our backs, and they know it." Rimuru nodded thoughtfully. "True. But I was hoping we could at least enjoy a little peace and quiet before we head into the new world." Ultima grinned. "Don't worry, we'll get plenty of action once we're out there. The new world is where all the real challenges are." Rimuru smiled. "I'm looking forward to it." By the end of the week, Rimuru and Ultima had gathered all the supplies they needed for their journey. Their ship, now fully coated and ready for the depths, sat anchored in the harbor, waiting for them to embark on their next adventure. As they prepared to leave Fishman Island, they were approached by a group of fishmen who had been tasked with ensuring their safe passage through the depths. "Lord Rimuru, Lady Ultima," one of the fishmen said, bowing respectfully. "Your ship is ready. The coating will hold strong as you pass through the depths, and you should have no trouble reaching the new world." "Thanks," Rimuru said with a nod. "We appreciate the help." Ultima stretched her arms above her head, a satisfied grin on her face. "Finally. Let's get going. I'm tired of sitting around." Rimuru chuckled. "You were the one who wanted to do all that shopping." Ultima shrugged. "Yeah, but that was a week ago. I'm ready for something exciting again." With everything in order, Rimuru and Ultima boarded their ship and set sail once more. Their ship descended into the depths initially, heading toward the red line. But instead of remaining submerged, the true challenge lay ahead, climbing the underwater currents that would bring them up and over the red line and into the new world. "Here we go," Rimuru said, standing at the helm as their ship began its climb, pushed by powerful underwater currents. "This is the hard part." "Hard for most," Ultima said, smirking as she adjusted the course, "but we've got this." The ship moved upward at a rapid pace, the water pressure increasing as they ascended toward the surface. Their bubble coating glowed faintly, holding strong as the ship was pushed by the current toward the top of the red line. Suddenly, a massive sea king emerged from the depths, its enormous form casting a shadow over their ship. Its sharp teeth gleamed in the dim light as it swam towards them, but Rimuru and Ultima remained unfazed. "They just don't know when to quit, do they?" Ultima asserted. Rimuru sobbed. "Guess it's time to show them who's boss." Without hesitation, both Rimuru and Ultima unleashed their Conqueror's Haki simultaneously, the powerful waves of energy radiating from them and crashing into the approaching Sea King. The massive creature's eyes broadened in shock before it froze in place. It will be completely shattered by the overwhelming force of their combined Haki. With a final, pitiful cry, the Sea King turned and swam away, disappearing into the depths once more. "Too easy," Ultima said with a grin. Rimuru smiled. "We're getting close. The new world is just beyond the surface." As their ship continued its ascent, they finally broke through the surface of the water, the bright sunlight of the new world shining down on them. They had arrived.